Hey, Dennis.
AFQ, good evening.
So, good evening, sir. So, I was
Thank
just
you.
wondering if I stood in the park and I started crying, there'd be, I'm sure, multiple people would come up to me wondering, hey, what's wrong? Everything okay? You feeling all right?
Yeah.
People would come and try to sympathize or, console me and stuff. But if I just sat there and looking at somebody and I was just smiling or
Yeah.
grinning or laughing, I'm sure they'd call the police, right? And say, this guy was sitting there and laughing at us. Or either they call me a creep or a lunatic. Forgive my use of that word.
Yeah.
But why? Why? You're an NLP coach.
I,
You have, what the fuck is wrong with humanity, man?
I think what it is I mean, I've given this some thought. I think really what it comes down to is as humans, we try to fix things, and if somebody's laughing, I think it makes the people witnessing that uncomfortable because they're like, well, I don't see what's so funny. Why would this person be laughing? They probably hearing voices and all of that kind of stuff. So I think it's just human nature to like, oh, somebody's crying, let's go console them and that sort of thing. And I'll just tell you, as somebody, I get a lot of weird looks. I get a lot of weird looks because, I work alone by myself quite often. And so I don't like to always be in my house. So, when the world's open, I might go work at a cafe or a coffee shop or even in the park. And I will sit there, and if I find something humorous, I laugh out loud. And I get some really strange looks.
No, but that's while you're looking at a laptop or reading a book,
Uh,
right?
Sometimes I'm just listening to something, or sometimes I might just be sitting there and,
Right.
and, and laughing.
Now that's the one. If you're just sitting there, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking at people in the park or at a coffee shop, and if I start crying, if I'm really sullen and gloomy, it's all right. But if I'm just sitting there and looking at you and laughing or smiling, you'll probably come and punch me.
Well,
So when you said it's nature, I don't think it's nature. I don't think it's human nature. I think the society has created some fuckery there.
Possibly. I can only speak for myself. If I see somebody laughing, if I see somebody crying, I'm the way that's like, and it's probably because of coming, having been a therapist and that sort of thing. When I see somebody crying, I don't really check on people if they're okay. I kind of tend to walk away. If somebody's laughing though, man, I stop. I'm like, hey, share with me what is so funny. Like, let me in on it. Like, because I prefer to laugh. I think I think that the crying and the misery, I don't know that everybody wants to fix it, but I think that we can empathize with that, especially when you talk about, I think that the reason for that, so I'm just going to come out and say it. I think people try to interject themselves. They don't like it when people are happy. It makes them uncomfortable because they're not happy. And they
Thank you
can't see
very
the
much.
point in it.
Yeah, and also we assume that if I'm sad, it's something to do with myself, and if I'm happy and laughing, it has to do with you. I'm sad about myself. I'm laughing at you or about you, and even the sentences, grammar, the way the language is constructed,
Yeah.
I can never cry about you or cry at you. It's grammatically wrong. I can laugh at you. I can laugh about you. Likewise, I cannot laugh about myself. I cannot laugh
Yeah.
at myself. Even if you use Google laugh at yourself, and you'll find 1,000 articles about that. If I try to Google it, why is it not okay to laugh on your own? Nothing. There is nothing on the internet that
No.
addresses that subject. That's so screwed up. Okay, anyways, people, today's Friday. We don't really have a topic. We just threw it in there because Dennis and I were having a little chat before the show, and we said, hey, this is something on our minds. So I said, well, let's do that. So, guys, you're welcome to call in. The link is given right there. Just click on that. Come have a chat with us. If you have questions and answers which we have, missed over the week during our last 4 shows, you're welcome to throw them here, and we'll take them in. And I cannot understand why people would bloody do this. Breaking news, guys. I'm not going to show it on the screen. I don't want it on record. Israel, dangerous micro. No, actually, wait. No. I want to. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Maybe I'm crazy for laughing. I don't know. I personally, FQ, I just see the world like I was a very miserable person for a long time. And so, but laughing, like I'm an idiot. I laugh at my ridiculousness all the time.
I have a fucking technical question, man.
Yeah.
How do you get a microchip? Fuck microchip, a nanochip. Micro's too big, man. A nanochip, any kind of fucking PNP and NPN circuitry, any kind of transistors and whatever shit. How the fuck do you put in a liquid and stick it in my arm?
Yeah,
I don't think we're there yet.
No, because if you look at like some of the technology that's being used in healthcare now, if you look at like a diabetic, so if they have to stick themselves over and over, they put a port in and you can see it. If somebody is on dialysis, it's a big port in their arm and you can see it. If somebody has cancer,
and your shoulders or neck,
that's correct. So I don't know the difference between micro and nano. I'm assuming nano is smaller. So no, I don't.
3 zeros, man.
Don't know how that would work. I don't know how that would work at all. So, Mr. Gaming Player, thank you so much.
Hey, Rafia. Sorry we missed you. Hello. How you doing, Rafia? Rafia says, when something funny comes in my head, I start laughing at weird looks. Hey, screw the weird looks, girl. Be happy. Enjoy yourself. They're the weirdos, you know? Anybody who looks at you funny if you laugh, they're the whacks. Okay, Irfan, my good old friend. I think if I look at someone in the park and they're not doing anything weird yet, I'll laugh looking at them, then there is something. Why? So you can look at them and weep. You can look at them, that's all right. You can look at them and go, that's okay. But if you look at them and laugh, there's a problem. Where's the problem? I'm sorry, that is my question. Dennis, are you with Irfan or not?
I don't know. I mean, it's so funny to me because it's so crazy to me that we're able to empathize and we want to comfort people. You know, truthfully, like, listen, I mean, I'm not saying I'm the most altruistic or nicest person in the whole wide world. And, you know, but if I see somebody
nowhere close.
If I see somebody crying, there's a good chance I might start laughing because I just don't, I spent a number of years of my life being miserable, and I'm just like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Being miserable is a choice. Being happy is a choice. I'm just choosing the other. So it's a really crazy phenomenon. And actually, when I was in graduate school, that was I wasn't assigned to this. I just decided to do it. You know, there's always those things in psychology class where you stand in an elevator backwards and record what people say when they get on the elevator. What I did is I decided to take and do like laughter. I would sit in places and I would just sit there and laugh out loud, kind of like Yasmin did, Dr. Butt when she was on the other day. Mm-hmm. I just did that, and then I kind of recorded the results. And I got all kinds of crazy looks like I was some kind of psychopath. So, and it's interesting. I don't know the psychology behind it. I truly don't. It's one of those things that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So...
Okay, first of all, I put the micro nano pico on the site, just for people who are curious about that. It's just extra zeros. Okay, now you said, if you see somebody crying on the street, you'd probably walk away. I would, depending on what she looks like. I mean, if she's hot, I'd probably go and ask what she's doing. If you know what I mean, Dennis, right?
Hey, fair enough. Fair enough.
Fair enough, right? Fair enough. Depends on what she looks like.
But I think you're bringing up a good point. I think you bring up a really good point. Is there a difference between if a man is standing there crying and a female is standing there crying?
Thank you. Or wait a minute. Or if a man's looking at you and laughing, or if it's a hot chick looking at you and smiling.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Interesting note here. Yeah. If it's a hot chick checking you out, even if she's not checking you out, just laughing out. Yeah, that's different, actually. Huh.
Yeah. What I think that this brings in, FQ, is our conversation yesterday about biases. So if women are crying, we automatically think, oh, they're weaker. We need to go rush in and help them and fix whatever. And, if a man is standing there crying, we're like, whoa, that dude needs to get his shit together. Right? I mean, that's like, it makes me uncomfortable as well. So like, it's interesting, these biases that we have. So it's interesting how that keeps kind of coming up. But yeah,
So watch the bias show from last night. We did on
Yeah.
biases, but you know what? This also proves that there's gender bias in favor of women. Men have really had a bad deal in this world. I know feminists have established that women are being ostracized. I think men are being ostracized in our society. It's a woman's world, man. It's a matriarchy. I'm telling you, it's a woman's world, and men are screwed. We just need to stand up for our rights. Okay, I smile and might even chuckle sitting on the park bench by myself. Mostly people just smile back or laugh at me. Yeah, because you look hot. I couldn't care less because I would rather be authentic. If Dennis or I were doing it, you don't want to know what's going to happen to us, and I'm not going to even go try it.
Yeah, I've gotten comfortable with. I had to work on it. I got comfortable with people not liking me, because I'm comfortable. I had to get comfortable with who I am, and then it didn't matter what anybody else really thinks if I'm sitting there laughing. Like it's really interesting. There's a really big skill that I think a lot of people haven't mastered, and they certainly are not putting it onto their kids. In fact, it came up the other night. Somebody walked by my garage as I was sitting outside, and they're like, "Hey, you know what? Could you please shut your garage? And my kids are out here." And I'm like, "Hey, tell you what? How about you teach your kids another lesson? How to mind their own business." Right? Okay. I mean, that's a skill in and of itself too that we can't seem to master.
Absolutely. My sister will give me dirties like I'm laughing at her. Yeah, well, but knowing you, Rafia, you probably are. From what we figured out about you in the past couple of weeks, we think you would be laughing at her. I know you. And as for saying, you're okay with people hating you, like my friend Khurram was saying the other day, mm-hmm. I actually finger people so that they would react. I actually like creating trouble. I mean, I would make comments which I know categorically that will irritate a reasonable number of people. You've seen my feed on my Facebook. At least once a day, I would say something which would completely piss people off. I just love it, man. It's fantastic.
I liken myself to being a bit of a provocateur myself, and sometimes I like to just poke the monkey just for the sake of poking the monkey. So I totally understand that. I totally understand that. It's just, I think though, when we look at what we're talking about here is the ability to laugh at why is somebody that laughing a weirdo, but somebody that's crying is totally normal? I mean, it just I have to ask the question, has our society turned so much that laughter is not really as accepted or as wanted as sadness? And why is that? That's just it's a really interesting topic. So I'm glad we're talking about it, because it's never really anything I've given much thought to.
So Rafia's come out with the truth. Yeah, she is laughing at her. I know you, Rafia.
Right, and Rafia, just something that you had said before, maybe that's why she's saying they should put you in a home. Right? Because she thinks you're laughing at her all the time.
I mean, like me, I could care less. Well done, girl. Well,
good job, Rafia.
So Bushra, hello Bushra, how you doing? Not that argument. What? Not what argument again? Oh, yeah. Okay, I know what you're talking about. First, let's take this. Well done. You should laugh at your own jokes. Screw everybody else. Oh, I have a serious vendetta. I'm sorry. Okay, there's a feud in Pakistan between me and the feminists.
Okay.
So there's an ongoing feud, and I call them. I don't know. Hang on. Let me see what's. I've given a name to them, and that is. I don't know what's a Bagad Billi. Bagad Billi is, I think it just means a mad cat. So I call feminists mad cats. So yeah, it's a known argument. People like, not that one again. It's all right. Okay. All right. Actually, if I see a man crying publicly, I would tend to be more concerned. We can not to cry in public, or our condition not to. And so I would think something really, really terrible. There you go. Good point, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's certainly an interesting perspective. I mean,
fair enough.
Yeah.
Point taken. Next one is really bad. I love this.
It's on Facebook. Why aren't you blocking him?
Oh, I used to block anybody. It's my way or go fuck you. It's not even the highway. Go kill yourself. Either you do it my way or there. So yeah, I block anybody who does not align with my way of doing things. I block them, man.
Oh, I misread that. I thought it was saying that people blocked you, and I'm like,
oh, I block.
Well, I mean, it's not a democracy on your page, right? I mean,
absolutely.
So.
Oh yeah, I mean, hundreds of times I've had this. Oh, but technology, and when you put it in your page, it's open. I'm like, screw you, man. It's not open to nothing. All right, laughing at the mental health. Okay, good point, Bushra.
But I'm asking. I guess my question would be to follow up on that as how is that associated with that? Having as a psychologist, I've never heard that
societal,
and I think it is a societal. It's a societal bias, right?
It's also pop culture. You see, you look at movies. You look at the way. If you want to show somebody out of their mind, you'll show them laughing. Laughing for no reason, laughing stupidly, and that's how
like Jack Nicholson in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, there we go. Okay,
exactly.
But I'm just going to say,
or even Joker, but Joker also cried.
Sure, and Jack Nicholson was in a mental institution. Right? It's somebody like a lot of people in the park, or I think it's contextual. If somebody's in the park. And there's a lot of homeless people around, then, and that's kind of where they're living, and you see them laughing out loud. I think it's easy to associate that with a mental illness, because why would people want to be homeless? But if I'm sitting, it depends on if I'm in a store, if I'm in a coffee shop or a cafe and somebody's laughing, I just think that they're happy. I really don't put too much into it. So unless I see them like around like a bunch of homeless people, or they're walking around outside of the psych hospital, just laughing uncontrollably, but usually there's other signs that go with that. So I just want to say that there's usually other signs that go with that that indicate mental illness.
Elaborate. Right. Okay.
Personal care.
So it's not just that. It's not just okay. I was thinking that yes. On the flip side, yes, that does not alone mean that there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, but if you see somebody whose hair's like all askew and they're dirty and that sort of thing, and probably malnourished, there's a good chance if they're laughing. But look at what they're laughing at. There's a part of town in my area where I go to quite often, and just because there's a place there that my wife and I like to eat, and but there's a lot of people walking around talking to themselves. And I don't know. I've heard some of it. They have some pretty intense conversations with whoever they're communicating with.
That's an interesting one, actually. Talking maybe if we have time, having is a sign of madness. Okay, I'll touch that in just 1 second. Let's look at a few comments. He says, I think it's hard for people to see someone happy and accepted. Yes, you're right. I agree with you, sir.
I agree.
And that's what Dennis had said earlier. Okay, Irfan said, oh no, let's take this. Rafia, I'm savage. Yes, girl, I am, and proud of it. Okay, I think not being able to laugh out loud at someone that warrants it should be actually be silent. Yes, I agree. It should be, but it isn't. That is not how it is.
Yeah. I want to come out and say the mental disorder part. I'm going to just come out and say I believe in mental health care and treatment. I just also think that we have, in trying to ramp it up and get it to be more accepted. I think in some ways what we've done is we've kind of crossed a line with that. And now if you just open up your social media feeds and you can see, oh, you're depressed. Oh, you have anxiety. So now we're told we have these. So I think once we're told that we have something, now we go to start looking for it. So it's an interesting position that we put ourselves in. I mean, you can always find trouble if you go look for it.
Okay, so there's no democracy at all, and then at the same time he considers himself a leader and a motivational personality. Just that making fun of someone makes Faisal happy, and when it comes to him, he's offended. Chutia. He's basically called me a dumb fuck. Shish silence. Yeah. Eat shit. Come mierda de muerte. I know enough Spanish to be able to say come mierda de muerte, all right?
Muy bien.
Hijo de la gran puta.
Híjole. We should do a show in Spanish, apparently.
No, the extent of my Spanish is cuss words.
Hey, you know, as a kid, I learned all of them. I worked in the kitchen of a Mexican food restaurant, so that's.
Well, see, that's naturally the first thing you learn in a language.
You have to.
Words.
Yeah, it's super funny. It's funny. Like one of the things that I say kick ass a lot. When I started learning Spanish, I went right to it. How do I say kick ass in Spanish? So
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, people laughing out is not bad. It's about being disrespectful to them. What the fuck? How? I'm sorry, Juliet. Please.
Can I take that?
This is. Yeah, please.
Yeah,
okay.
and I actually laughing out loud isn't the bad thing. I think what makes it different is so. I mean, and let's be honest. So, like, if silence was sitting on the street and I just walked by that person, I'm like, that's very, very different. That's very different. Right now, I'm laughing at silence simply because they put themselves out there, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Sometimes I just think, wait, the disrespectful part comes from intention, the way it's received. I mean, the person that's receiving it has they have to own the way that they hear things and accept things and receive things anyway. So I don't think I think the disrespectful part is like, again, like, oh, you're such an idiot. That's very different than sitting here going, oh my gosh, I have such a funny thought in my head, and I have, spontaneous laughter that way. So the disrespect part, I think that's subjective. But great comment, Mr. Chowdhury. Thank you.
Okay, I can take all the shit you throw at me. I'm immune to it. You do it to one of my friends or anyone on my page. Fuck you. I put this on the screen. Everyone, please block and report this account now. I'm doing it, and I would like people to block and report this asswipe.
A douche.
Exactly. You know what? Anyways, all right. Here goes. You're crying is not so loud, but laughing is, and feels like being judged. Dennis, I don't have a comment on this.
Crying is not so loud.
If you want to make a comment.
Crying is not so loud, but laughing is, and it feels like being judged. Laughing feels like being judged? I mean, I'm just going to come out and say being judged, I mean, that's an internal thing. You're not judging me if I don't feel judged. So
exactly.
Laughter or disrespect, either way. I don't know. I had somebody yell something. I was doing something, and somebody said something. They yelled, "Oh, whatever." And I'm just like, absolutely. The thing is that it always brings me to laughter when people deliberately act stupid. So, like, they have a role in that, too. If you don't want people to laugh at you, like, don't do dumb stuff. I don't know how else to say it other than have a sense of humor and accept and acknowledge the fact that we're all ridiculous creatures. We say we want to do something, but our behaviors completely, are not aligned with what we say we want. We say... there's just all kinds of things. So, like, oh, I wanna have my house cleaned, but I don't want to clean my house. So, like, we're ridiculous in what we do. I mean, you think about it, like, oh, I really want to lose weight. Oh, I'm so fat, and oh, I want to lose weight, but I'm gonna just sit here and drink more beer and eat cake, right? So, we're all ridiculous.
You know what? I'm falling in love with Rafia, babe.
Rafia,
you got it.
Love it.
Love it, babe. You got it. Well done. Well done. Yeah. Hot you are.
Yeah, this is actually a very good comment. Bushra. Very good.
Well said.
Yeah. Man, that's brilliant.
You talked about, having conversations out loud with yourself. That's I'm going to come to in a moment. I know I keep plugging this book in, but I thoroughly believe if you want to change your life, all you need to do is read this book. Okay? it will bring a revolution in your whole existence if you actually read it like trying to understand it. All right. Now, the reason I'm plugging this in is there's a part where Eckhart Tolle talks about that he's sitting in bus going to university, and he has this guy sitting next to him and talking to himself. And he starts thinking, why is this guy talking? Oh, God, he's got a problem. He's mad. And that thought, he gets off at the university, and so does this person with him. And they both walk into the university. Turns out he was his classmate. And this guy kept having this, loud conversations with himself. So Eckhart Tolle says, I kept thinking about it, and I kept saying, wow, he's mad. What's wrong with him? And he's the same student as me. Am I going to go mad with him? Because I've got the same studies and I'm doing the same thing. With time, will I go mad? And he said, with this thought, I went to the bathroom, washing my hands. And so I suddenly realized the only difference is that he was having this conversation with himself out loud, and I was having the same conversation with myself in my head. And he says, that's when I realized we are all mad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the book goes on to explain how to beat this madness. So, we all have these internal conversations. Yeah. It's just that if somebody has them out loud, suddenly they're mad.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I just want to say, coming from the mental health industry is, and it's one of the reasons I kind of broke away is I am very prone to science, and that's data. When you think about something like schizophrenia, and I'll just come out and say, I was diagnosed as bipolar. You know what? There was never any blood work done. They never tested any neurotransmitters. There was never any type of data. It's all based on signs and symptoms that the individual says that they have. So that's really it. It's not like you can go, oh, let me have a blood test, and oh, wow, we found in your blood work that you have schizophrenia. I mean, we're better at detecting COVID than we are some of these mental illnesses. So it's just because it's a little bit, it's not, when we're talking about neurotransmitters, it's hard to know simply because, they change throughout the day. Just the same as our testosterone levels and all of that. It's important to just point that out. So talking to somebody, it's more of a, a mental illness is more about a cumulative, it's a global process. It's more cumulative of individual symptoms. So schizophrenia might have 10 criteria. You only have to meet 5 or 6 of those criteria, and now you're told that you're schizophrenic. So I think it's just what I like to think about is that we address this when it becomes problematic in somebody's life. So laughing out loud, if you think I'm weird because I'm laughing out loud, you're probably, I'm not weird because I'm laughing out loud, but there's a lot of other reasons I'm weird.
So what the book I plugged in here, the story I plugged in here, also applies to laughter. Everyone's having internal conversations. Some of us have them out loud. Everyone's laughing in their heads or crying in their heads. Are they happy or sad? If you, I don't know what you're going to call it, materialize it or make it physical or make it external, then you start getting all these labels by other people, which is screwed up. I'm sad inside, I'm sad outside. I'm happy inside, I'm happy outside.
Right.
What's wrong with that? We'll take a few more comments. People tend to give you time alone if you're sad, just so you can gather enough power to fight the circumstances. That's quite natural. Laughing, people might look for a reason, and that makes it a little awkward, maybe. Fair point, yes.
Salman, nice to see you again, sir.
Irfan says, I work with IT, and if I'm trying to figure something out, I tend to talk to myself, and the more animated comes. Irfan, I always knew you were half cuckoo, man. Irfan's an old friend.
Irfan, me too. Listen, I'm not an IT guy, and I'm just to say, I'll point my camera. You can see a board back there. So that usually comes at 2 o'clock in the morning. It usually comes at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I get up, and my wife will even come down the hall. She's like, "Who are you talking to?" Me. Me. And truthfully, I'm going to say, Irfan, truthfully, I have great conversations with myself. I'm one of my favorite people to talk to. I mean,
Bingo.
I don't typically piss myself off. I don't typically ask myself questions that I already know the answer to that I could easily Google. So,
Well said.
Irfan, keep doing it, because I'm gonna come out and say there's a lot of studies that have shown people that have a really healthy internal dialogue, like these are people that are creative geniuses in many ways. So, like, enhance that skill, brother. Enhance it. Keep going.
Just a side question. When April comes and asks you who you're talking to, you say, me, do you also make the shining Jack Nicholson face? That could be fun.
We'd have to ask her. I don't know. I don't know. Listen, I mean, there's many times
you're in a state, huh?
I'm
you're in a
talking
dimension.
and talking, and a lot of times she'll like knock on the door quietly, and I'm like, because it's almost like a trance for me. I mean, I don't know how else to put it, but I kind of get in that performance zone, that creative zone, and it's like I'm hyper focused, and so laugh at me, curse me out. I don't really care, because I am so tuned out and focused on what I'm doing. So hyper focus, Irfan, love this, keep it up, great job.
While we're on external conversations, there are two kinds of conversation. One conversation, this is important. I need to plug this in. Because people who have conversations with themselves and they get involved in that conversation emotionally, that's a problem. That's where depression and that's where all the other problems arise. If you're having intelligent or even stupid conversation with yourself and doing it for the F of it, then it's perfectly all right. Or if you're trying to be creative, trying to solve a problem, that's perfectly all right. I'd like to tell a very, very quick story here. I have a very dear friend called Reza Qasim. He does not like the Qasim, he says, just call me Reza. He's an amazing human being, and maybe I'll introduce him one of these days. At one time, he was in jail back in the 80s in solitary confinement, I think for 5 years or something. Ugh. So he started having conversations with himself, and I asked what sort of conversation. So he said, I would sit here and talk as person one, then I would actually get up and sit on the other side and talk as person two, and I would have this back and forth. He's an amazing philosopher. He's a phenomenal human being, one of the most influential and best lawyers of Pakistan today alive. What a phenomenal human being. But this is one of the conversations I've had with him. And he says, and in one of those conversations, I asked Raza 1, asked Raza 2, who the hell do you think you are? What do you think of yourself? And he said, that's when I first time realized my last name is a burden. It's just me, and I know it's a very intricate story. He says, now just call me my first name, Raza. He's 90 odd years old, and he says, find me a 90-year-old who does not want to be called dad, uncle, Mr. or anything. It's just, you're Faisal, I'm Raza. Let Faisal have a conversation with Raza. What I'm saying is, he basically destroyed the ego with that conversation. Usually conversations create the egoic mind or the ego. But if your conversation is constructive, it'll deconstruct your ego. And having those internal conversations is perfectly healthy and all right. Okay, we are on 34 minutes, so let's try to wind up. Go on, Dennis.
And I just wanted to say, as far as talking to oneself, like from a therapy perspective, that comes from a Gestalt technique, and so it's known as the empty chair technique, and so it's actually very, very therapeutic, and that's what we do. That's what we would do. You sit here, you talk to the other person, and then you move chairs, and then you come over here and you respond, and so listen, I know most people don't want to do this because they're like, well, I'm going to feel like a weirdo. And I'm just simply saying it is so healthy. It is so healthy because it really helps us to understand. As far as talking out loud, I just want to say there is a positive to it. And simply because a lot of times when if for motivation, think about it from a motivation standpoint. And I know we've kind of demystified that whole thing. Yeah. But if you want to motivate, why would you not? So like your mantras. So I say mantras. There's a reason I say them out loud. Because I'm hearing them internally and I'm hearing them externally. So now I'm reinforcing it internally and externally. So there is a point to it. It just depends on what you're doing. If you're sitting there going, I suck, well, then that's probably going to be a bad day. If you're telling yourself, so make it good stuff that you're telling yourself so that you're hearing it. Good.
Okay. Although thinking out loud makes us look insane, science suggests it's actually a sign of intelligence. Thank you, not man. Absolutely. Psychologists at Bangor University in the UK have found external monologues boost brain power to improve. There you go. That's now we know why we're such geniuses.
Same with cursing.
Same with cussing, yeah.
Yeah.
Irfan, I love you, bro, but you know what? I'll never forgive you for voting for this joker we have.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, I believe we have to laugh when we want and we have to cry when we want, and we're absolutely hiding emotional depression. Close my. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well said, Mr. Aslar. Well said.
The best statement is right here at the end. Accepting ourselves is a big win. Abdullah,
Yeah.
perfect. Brilliant. Rafia, I have amazing conversations with myself. It's amazing. I talk to myself out loud, and I'm just like, man, God, dang it, I'm so smart. I mean, I am a really impressive person to myself. So keep it up.
Hey, you're an impressive person to others as well, man. Don't undersell yourself. I'm trying to find something really nasty, which I don't want to say. So I'm hoping I can just put on the screen. Well, that's actually, you say, conversation with yourself. Woody Allen once said, don't stop it from masturbation. It's sex with somebody I love dearly.
Yeah.
I'm really getting sort of risque on this broadcast.
Bushra,
I do talk
absolutely.
to myself to motivate positively. Your own reassuring voice. Absolutely. Well said. Okay, I'm going to plug in a couple of things before we go. I mentioned Reza Qasim, and for those in Pakistan would recognize this. Reza Qasim is actually the founder of a music and philosophy institute called Sanjan Nagar. You'll see a lot of these videos here under Sanjan Nagar, and watch them. A lot of them are in English. I've interviewed him a few times. People who in Pakistan would recognize this gentleman here in the video. He is actually Ali Noor's grandfather, Ali Noor of the Noori band. He's Ali Noor's grandfather, and Ali Noor did a whole series of interviews with Reza Qasim. I would highly recommend the English ones, at least. Even Dennis, if you get a chance, look at them. He does some really interesting stuff, like the concept of God and stuff. He's way out there. This man's way out there. And the other thing I like to plug in is another book. I've talked about the New Earth. This is another book I really, 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 really recommend. The Untethered Soul. It's got 43,000 4.5-star ratings. So you know what? Just go with that, man.
Perfect.
So Dennis, what's playing on your stereo today?
Well, what's playing in my stereo?
We have to recommend a song every time. We've been missing.
Perfect. What woke me up this morning, and I don't really know why. I just was. I got up this morning at 3:30, and I was kind of like already singing "Dancing Queen" by ABBA. So I don't know where that came from, but you know what? They're easy to sing along with, and every time, if I like to sing, I like to sing out loud. So kind of just something I wanted to bring up is there's a quote out there that says, "Dance like nobody's watching, love like you've never been hurt, sing like nobody is listening, work like you don't need the money, and live like it is already heaven on earth." It's kind of like believing, act as though your blessings have already come true. So I totally love this. If I'm happy, I'm going to be happy, and I'm going to express that. And the other thing that I wanted to just really point out really quickly is dance like nobody's watching, and even if they do, who cares? Dance anyway. I don't know. Maybe it's the same with my singing. I don't know how I sound. I know how good I sound in my own mind. So maybe I'll get a record contract at some point. I don't know. Interesting.
Irfan, fun fact. ABBA used to compose the music first and then write words together. Wow, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Fuck, that's interesting.
That's pretty cool.
Well, that's unique. Okay. Last comment. Talking to yourself gives you a better picture of yourself, and second, that eventually helping. Thank you, sir. Agreed with you, Salman.
Sounded a great job. Yeah, thank you.
Here's a song I would recommend. Herz über Kopf. It's a beautiful song. Give it a hear. You can always do an English translation on the. Oh wow, Shish Silence came back with a new account just to cuss me, man. I blocked him and he came with a new account. Okay, this is amazing. He's basically just called me Konya Bamama, right?
Man, I'm jealous of UFQ. I am jealous. Like, I mean, to have that much power and control over somebody else that you don't even know, like, amazing. Like, you're a guru. That's amazing.
I keep people captured, man.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think it's been great, and I think it's time to go. Dennis?
I'm ready to go. I hope everybody finds a way to keep laughing today. And
yes, and I think we had a good show. We had a good laugh. Dennis,
Absolutely.
How's Back to Basics? Plug that in,
Back to the
please.
Basics going really
Talk
good.
about
We
it.
will, tonight, I am still trying to line up a guest for tonight, so we'll see if that happens. So I'm going to hold off on giving the topic. But it's going very well. Last night we ended up talking about people pleasing. And so I think we're going to actually talk about that on this show, get a little bit more engagement, because people pleasing seems to be a real, it's a challenge for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's the difference between, I don't want to, is it being nice and doing nice things for people is not the same as people pleasing. So I think it's a good distinction to make. And it's going very well. We had a lot of great engagement. And so thanks. Yeah, absolutely. And for everybody that has not gone to my page, go to Tyrell Coaching Solutions or at Tyrell Coaching on Facebook and follow me. And that way you'll get all the updates on when I go live as well. So thank you.
Hey, mate, just hang on. On your Tyrell Coaching, I don't see a link for your Facebook or YouTube. Why is that? Where's the link to your social media there?
What are you talking about?
It's not there, mate.
I don't know. We'll have to talk about that. I don't know. We'll get it up and running the way it should be. I get a number of people following me, so I'm not sure.
I don't see it. Anyways, it'll be there if it's not there soon.
Absolutely.
Go and follow his page so when he stops broadcasting from my page, you guys don't miss out. Thank you very much. You have a good weekend and we'll talk to you Monday.
See you Monday.
Good night.